my name is Katie Carson. Welcome back to Royalty Soaps, and if you're new here, welcome for the very first time. Today we are going to be making acai bowl soap. Now, I'm doing this mainly because I am so ready for summer, and there is nothing more like quintessentially beachy, Hawaiian, like jungle fruit vibes to me than the acai bowl. It's got some really fun additives, some really fun additions on top. This was super, super delightful to design. My design itself was actually really fun, like the piece of paper I actually drew things on. I just kind of went nuts. The whole thing is decorated. And I think you guys are really gonna like the smell too. If you aren't following me on Instagram, there's one for Royalty Soaps, there's one for my personal stuff. You don't have to follow either one of them, but a lot of people ask me in the comments below, what's your Instagram handles? And so that's why I put it in every single video. So without further ado, let's make some soap. The first thing we're going to do today is actually adding some real acai powder, as you can see, USDA certified organic acai powder, into the oils directly. And this is gonna give us a very light exfoliation, but it's also gonna look really cool. I'm just gonna dump about a tablespoon in there. I'm just gonna blend this in without turning my stick blender on, just using it as a big spatula, essentially. And then I'm gonna pour the lye water solution down the stick blender into the oils, and good for my camera actually cooperating today and staying focused. And we will now blend until just past emulsion. We want this to be very watery today because this fragrance oil accelerates, and it accelerates a lot. Okay, we're just past emulsion. It's still very, very runny, and it honestly has this odd sort of green looking color. That's just because of all the little acai powder speckles in there. It won't look like that once all the color is in. It'll look much, much better. We're only going to have one accent color because this is gonna be an in the pot swirl of two purples to look like an acai bowl. And to make sure that I get all the color fully incorporated, I'm wiping down the sides of this big container. Into the small container, we are adding some Purple Vibrance Mica from Nurture Soap mixed with oils. I need like a tiny spatula.
You just need a popsicle stick.
Yeah, that'll be fine. It's funny that we don't have tiny spatulas. We should have at least one.
Little friendly spatula.
Yes, basic. That would be genius.
On your fingertips.
Man, I would love that. And then for the second color, this is so cool. This is Reborn Neon Purple from TKB Trading, and it doesn't look like much right now, but it's gonna look really pretty when it's all mixed in. And once again, because this fragrance oil is such a pain to work with, we're gonna go ahead and blend up the colors and then add the fragrance oil slowly. I did not stick blend for very long. We're trying to keep this as watery as humanly possible, so I'm just running my spatula around the edges to make sure that there isn't any colorant just sitting around. The fragrance oil we are using today is Acai Berry from Nature's Garden, and though it does misbehave and it is difficult to work with, this is one of my favorite berry fragrance oils. Like, everyone on my team thought this smelled amazing, and Kenny was saying that it smelled like a sorbet that he had, and I totally agree. So if you're willing to work with it and you're gonna do a simple design, I can recommend it, but if you're trying to do elaborate swirls, stay far away. I hate it when people are like, oh yeah, I mean, it speeds up a little, and then it's like, rah! Like, I never want to use this.
I'm a pro, so you know, I don't feel pain.
Yeah.
Fun wimps.
So I am going to mix this with my spatula like so. Lucky for me, it doesn't rice. It just speeds things up. Well, it doesn't rice very much, I should say. It does rice a little bit. But for my purposes today, because I want it to look like a smoothie bowl, that really doesn't matter. Now that the color and the fragrance oil has been fully incorporated, I'm gonna pour this purple into the lighter sort of berry color. I am gonna scrape it out very quickly, and now we're gonna move along to pouring this giant batch into our large slab mold. Okay, so I'm gonna begin pouring, and you guys will probably be able to see that it's setting up a little bit, but man, I can tell you this wasn't nearly as bad as when I did it last night. It was crazy thick. So I'm gonna pour off a little bit into this bucket, and we are going to color it. Or really try to. Dang.
I could have hit you with that landing.
Well, shoot on this.
Can I do anything to help it?
Probably not. Not at this point. You can try stick blending that, Kenny. We're gonna lose the video, so you can just go ahead and turn that off, Caleb. Before we add the rest of the soap, we're gonna add in these soap canes that we made. Now, they contain blueberry seeds, and this is supposed to sort of remind you of a dragon fruit. You guys have really liked in the past whenever we have added soap canes like this to our bars, and I just felt like this one was the perfect one for it. So I'm making very careful to put it in the direct middle of the bar, and then I'm pushing it down gently. I got the mold for this from Brambleberry. I think Brambleberry for me, even with shipping, ended up being cheaper than Amazon. So pro tip, if you live in Texas, probably better to get it from Brambleberry. Last one here, just gonna place that right in, push it down just a little bit, make sure that soap is grabbing onto it. And then we can move along to pouring the rest of the batch on top. And I'm just gonna do so very carefully. Most of it has set up so that it's really not a big deal. Those soap canes are definitely not gonna move. And we still have bits of the purple coming through. It didn't all sink to the very bottom. And the acai powder is giving it a nice texture as well. I'm gonna scrapey out my big container. Now, instead of tapping this down on the ground, because there are soap canes inside, I don't wanna move, I'm gently going to bounce the top just to make sure that all of the little crevices are filled in, and the soap is starting to set up a little bit, which means I'll be able to texture right away. And for texturing, there's so many different ways you can texture the top of a soap. Soap Queen has a really cool video on that, and I'll go ahead and leave a link to that right now so that you guys can go watch it. But for me personally, I just like taking a spoon and just kind of moving it all around, because each individual bar just looks scrumptious that way, and I'm always thinking about the end result for each bar. People aren't buying a huge slab of soap at a time. They're just buying one of the 50 bars that's gonna be in here. So I like to just do it this way so that every bar looks super nice. And I'm not gonna put too much texture on top anyway, because we have so many cool embeds. The first one being these cold processed soap chunks and flakes. These are supposed to kind of look like bits of coconut. And I'm just gonna start by putting this down the side. We'll pat them in just a little bit so the soap holds on to it. But overall, all of the embeds will probably end up kind of getting on each other, and that's okay, because smoothie bowls are not perfect. They're for your consumption, just like this is for your bathing. Come down here and put this on, and let me tell you, I got inspired to make this because of an Instagram account that I follow, whose name, surprise, I cannot remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's Alpha Foodie, but I will leave you guys a little picture here of one of her creations and a link to her Instagram account. I am often very inspired by different artists in different mediums, and I think food prep and food photography is so fascinating because I am so bad at it. Just gonna keep adding a few of these in. I might go and add a bit more maybe in these little sparse areas like right here, but at this point every single bar is gonna have some little flakes. The next addition we're putting on are some organic pumpkin seeds, and I picked these because not only are they traditionally put on top of acai bowls, but because the color is such a vibrant green. I just felt this would be a perfect contrast to all the purple and white. So I'm gonna put this on the other side. We're just gonna put them here. If they fall a little to one side or the other, no big deal. And I am using those lines that have been put with Sharpie on the freezer paper as guides for where I'm placing all of the additives on top. These lines show where I'm going to be splitting, where the splitter is gonna actually end up cutting this soap into loaves. And finally, we're gonna be adding some organic blueberry seeds right down the center. I'm just taking my favorite spoon and sprinkling it like so. And if you're planning on making an acai themed soap really soon, some more cool embeds you could put on top would be some glycerin soaked blueberries, strawberries, and bananas. Any sort of fruit really, so like glycerin soaked kiwis or mango bits. You could actually do those with cold processed soap. That'd be pretty easy. And finally, to keep this purple looking fresh, it's not gonna be that vibrant in the morning. I mean, it'd be cool, but this color does fade a little bit and it typically ashes. So I'm putting a lot of this rubbing alcohol on top. I will continue to spritz it for a couple of hours as it sits to kind of knock that down. I may even cover the top with some plastic wrap. But besides that, that's it. We're done with the acai bowl soap. And here we are up close and personal with the acai bowl soap. I'm loving those embeds, and it smells so amazing. So we will be back in 18 to 24 hours to chop up these soaps and take a look at the inside after this quick commercial break. And we are back to cut the acai bowl soap. I am so excited. The fragrance is popping. Those colors are popping. And this is just gonna be a good one. I have a feeling a lot of you guys are gonna like this. When I was designing it, I had you guys in mind. I know a lot of you guys are fruit bats like me, so I'm gonna pop out one of these soaps in the middle. And this is what it looks like on the inside. So we've got the little representative dragon fruit circle here in the middle, and then we've got the purple and very dark purple berry swirls going on. And then on top we've got the coconut flakes, or faux coconut flakes, really just the cold processed soap, the organic blueberry seeds, and of course the organic pumpkin seeds as well, which really does round it off quite well. I have already thought of a variation on this fragrance that I want to do with two other fragrance oils that I have that I really like to come up with like the perfect acai bowl fragrance. I really like the acai fragrance by itself, but I feel like I could improve upon it even more. And I love the little flecks in there as well. It just adds to the general like fruit bowl goodness going on. So the question of the day is, have you ever had an acai bowl, or even just acai fruit? Maybe acai juice? Anything with acai in it? I hadn't even heard of it until Instagram, and then I had it for the first time whenever Caleb and I went on our honeymoon in Hawaii and was hooked. And just so you know, if you live in America and have a Costco wholesale near you, and I know a lot of the soap makers watching are like, woohoo, that's where I get my olive oil. Yes, they have acai bowls there and they are delicious. They're not as good as the ones that are like handmade, I will admit, but they're still pretty darn delicious, and it's a cheap thrill. So to vote on the question of the day, simply click the I in the upper right hand corner of the screen. Do you dig? Do you dig it? What you think? You gotta let me know. If you did enjoy it, if you enjoy watching the process of soap making and other bath and body products, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment down below, maybe even like it if you feel so inclined. This soap will be available on March 4th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until I see you again, be sure to do something fun for yourself today, whether that is going out, getting yourself an acai bowl, trying it out, you know, it's good for you, it's healthy, and it tastes delicious. Or skipping the smoothie bowl altogether and going straight for the ice cream. Either way, do something that makes you happy, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Meow.